coffin is to reflect the soul and not just to box the body. Here in Ghana, those sent on their last journey have gone in the most lavish and original ways. Up until his death in 1992, Ben's father designed hundreds of coffins. Normal wooden coffins were far too boring for him. They didn't stretch his skills, and besides, there was a market for more lavish designs. For those who want them, a coffin like this would cost around $500 US, almost double the normal price of a straightforward box. The workshop produces around 100 special coffins a year. For nearly a month, 12 staff members have been cutting, carving and nailing the model. Finally, it's painted and inlaid with fabric. In the village of Teshi, there are 3 workshops which offer specially made coffins. The owner learnt everything from Kanakwe. Pa Joe is almost as famous now as his former teacher. He's built 3 coffins for the former US President Jimmy Carter, not for burial, but for an exhibition. Pa Joe has many models from the conventional to the fantastical. For the nurse, perhaps a syringe. For the drinker, a bottle of beer. But not everyone chooses a coffin that reflects their profession. In Insawam, 45-year-old Mary Bartels has died suddenly. She was a baker and well-loved. Her husband has ordered a Mercedes coffin for her. To honour the dead, he wants to give her a dignified transition into the next life. The entire village takes part in the funeral proceedings. The deceased is driven for the last time to her home before she's laid out in a local hall.
Any respect ni ade on me ti sani osi yeme no madua ndi kura de oni hu agro efe se even me ya ne bonu bi kura otimi kasi o ofrem wo dem na se me ya kan fefe o mouse da onye didi na bibia na ma pa na che na wati na bibia ye fine.
At dawn, relatives and friends of Mary Bartels will come to the room to say their goodbyes. No one wants to miss the funeral. Everyone donates some money towards it, a gift that may also ensure a dignified funeral when their time comes. Hundreds of people are pressed together outside the house. They dance the whole night through until they can see the deceased. Funerals shape life in Ghana. Businesses close and schools are deserted. They often last for several days. People sleep wherever they can find a space. The laments dedicated to the deceased continue without respite. It's shortly before dawn. Everyone pushes forwards. They want to be the first. The living are trying hard to put the dead in a peaceful mood in order to secure the well-being of the deceased and themselves. The last meeting with his wife is difficult for David Bartels. He doesn't want to believe that she's really dead. The village chapel has replaced the DJ from the previous night. Relatives, friends, and neighbours are here to thank Mary for her friendship and generosity. After the crush of the first hours, women continue to file past Mary many times. It is the way they show their respect for the dead, and how inconsolable they are that she is no longer amongst them. David Bartels shows those present how he is suffering from the death of his wife. This is traditional in Ghana. Here, pain is shown openly, mainly through laments. Later, the public see the Mercedes coffin for the first time. Only the closest relatives were present as Mary was relieved of her jewels and laid down in the Mercedes. The funeral procession winds its way through the streets of the village. The coffin halts at the places which have a connection with the life of the deceased. Young men with red headbands announce the death. They drum the message to the village to gather for the funeral. The first missionaries to come to Ghana were Catholics who came with the Portuguese. They were followed in the 19th century by English Protestants. But the traditional religious beliefs of the population are still alive and ancestor worship continues. All influences come together at the burial. A stepdaughter wants to thank Mary Bartels for her kindness. She hopes she will rise again.
But of course, this is
The dead are honoured here because it's believed they can punish or aid the lives of those remaining behind. After the Christian service, the coffin is carried in a hearse to the cemetery. The priest accepts that funeral ceremonies last several days, but he doesn't necessarily approve.
We are trying to change it. We don't want to spend that much money during the funeral. Because we have children who are to be educated, and if we use this money to do this burial, where can we get money to finance the children? So we don't like that. It's too expensive.
Still, no cost is spared for the burial. It's a display of the affluence of the deceased. Families often take out debts to make sure they put on good ceremonies and show proper respect to their dearly departed. The husband and family elders leave the younger members of the family to deal with the final stage. After the service, when they are all together, everyone will make a donation. The burial and all the funeral trimmings has cost around 8 million cedis, approximately $3,000. A high price, but who doesn't want to travel into eternity in a Mercedes?